Yes. Okay, maybe not. Well, it is a controversial subject, especially for all the Honda boys. That's why I'm going to answer that question here. A twisty mountain road in the Northern Emirates, and not a quiet neighborhood at 3 a.m. like most Honda boys would do.
The 90s, the golden era of the JDMs. We had the Skyline GTRs, we had the Supras, we've got the Integras, the Subarus, all of these amazing vehicles. An era that cultivated the passion for all aspects of motorsport for a lot of people around the world. From time attack to rally to drifting and more. In that era, Honda was pumping out all sorts of enthusiast vehicles. They were pumping out the Integra, the Type Rs, both the EG6 followed by the EK9, and the mother of all, the Honda Ferrari. The Honda NSX. But closer to the end of the 90s, Honda needed something new, something fresh, especially that we're starting a new millennia, the 2000s, and that's where the name came from. Ha! Got you there. Because that wasn't actually the real reason behind the name. The real reason behind the name was the capacity of the engine. It was 2 liters, so naturally it would be 2000 cc, so they would call it the S2000.
It was coded the S2000, holding the name of the S chassis, not to be confused with Nissan's S chassis, the Silvias. This is basically the great-granddaughter of the S500, Honda's very first car that was produced in 1963.
Now the S2000 was released in 1999 as the 1999 model, and it had a good run all the way till 2009. 10 years of being in production before it was discontinued. In that time, Honda blessed us with 2 variations of the S2000. Starting from 1999 to 2003, we had the AP1, which is what this is. And between 2004 and 2009, we were given the AP2, which was the second generation of the S2000. Now, each generation came with its advantages and its disadvantages, but let's focus on this one for now. This 2003 S2000 came out with an engine codenamed the F20C, which was a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine that revs all the way to the sweet spot of 9,000 RPM. Combined with Honda's VTEC, well, it's a recipe for ultimate driving pleasure, isn't it? As I shall now demonstrate. To more of the quirks and features of the Honda S2000. Now, to more of the quirks and features of the Honda S2000, you started... Okay, I'm sorry, Doug. You start the S2000 by putting the key in, and then you twist it, and then you just notice that it doesn't go all the way around. That's because there's a button over here that says Start Engine, just like the old Formula 1 cars. Yes. Let's go for a drive. In recent years, the demand for JDMs has increased, and the S2000 grew a cult following really fast, and it's easy to see why. Because the essence of the S2000's formula was to build a car for people who enjoyed spirited driving. It's easy to realize how this car is very driver-oriented. All you have to do is just look at the passenger's entertainment system, which consists of a singular vent. Everything in the dashboard has been moved towards the driver to show that this is yours. You're the one in control. And oh boy, you really are the one in control. This is one of the best cars to take out for a fun drive because of its unmatched cornering ability, combined with the way that it takes your hands and basically lays it on the tarmac to make you feel every little difference and change in the surface. That just gives you a feeling of a solid connection. But make no mistake, this is not a slow car by any means. No, no, no!
No, no, no!
The engineering that went behind the F20C gave it about 240 horsepower, matched with probably the best 6-speed transmission in the market. That allowed the S2000 to go from 0 to 60 in just under 6 seconds, and it gave it a top speed of about 260 kilometers an hour.
Be connected!
The S2000 held the record of the highest horsepower per liter at 123 horsepower per liter, and it held that record for 10 years. before it was beaten by the 458 Italia in 2009. And that's a 4.5 liter V8. Oh, did I mention that it has VTEC? And does 9,000 RPM? Oh, the noise it makes. My inner 12-year-old is happy. It's so much fun to throw it around twisty mountain roads. I mean, this is it. This is its natural habitat. It's got 50-50 weight distribution and an X-bone rigid chassis design for a convertible. And that translates into a cornering ability, that of a roller coaster. The AP1 S2000, as Spoon Motorsport called it, is a race car with windshields, essentially. It was raw, it was scary, and sometimes dangerous. Not everybody that bought an S2000 managed to drive it the way it was meant to be. A lot of them crashed. So in 2004, oh, goat! So in 2004, Honda released the AP2 with softer suspension and revised rear end geometry to make it more predictable and friendly, let's say. That obviously made the AP2 a much better daily driver because it was more forgiving and was easier to drive. However, almost all time attack and track-oriented hardcore builds were built around the AP1 because it's more raw and violent and it stuck to its roots as a true driver's car. You can see all of the AP1 owners disliking the video right now and unsubscribing.
Nah, what? Hold on. Nah, they killed him. Nah, no way they're not killing pigeons. Yo! Oh! Hey!
As you've probably noticed by now, I have a bit of a soft spot for the S2000. And that's because people around my age, they used to fall in love with specific cars because they were influenced by either video games or pop culture. It wasn't that much different for me because my love for the S2000 started with Gran Turismo and Need for Speed, as did many people. I grew fond of the S2000 more and more when I started watching Initial D, as many of us did, and that's a reference to the pop culture, or even video games. The S2000 is a guaranteed future classic. All we have to do is just look at the market. Actually, let's look at the market. Let's take a look at their prices. In the US, they go for about 25, 21, 23, 18, 28, 28, 28. And for comparison's sake, let's look at the UK prices. £19,000, 18,000 pounds, 15,000 pounds, 18,000 pounds again. €5,000, 28,000 euros, 34,000 euros, 40,000 euros. And it's easy to see why, because after all the fancy driving that I've done, you step out and you look at it. This is a 23-year-old design, and it still looks better than most cars being produced today. Then you look at the interior, and it looks absolutely fresh, like it just rolled out of the factory. Well, ignore the heater knobs. Apart from that, the build quality of the S2000 is insanely good. All you need to confirm that is to take a look at the seats. They are 18 years old leather seats, and they just started wearing out. So my final verdict of the S2000, if you're a fan of spirited driving, buy it now. Go out and buy one now. If you're not, still go and buy one now. You're not gonna regret it. I mean, you've seen the prices, so it is kind of an investment. If you enjoyed this episode of The Speed Reels, please leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what do you think of the good old S2000. A few weeks ago, I've done a similar video about the GT86, which you can watch over here. I do enjoy making these videos, so if you have any car in mind that you want to see on this channel, please let me know in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Oh, and by the way, here's some VTEC, because you made it this far.